Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. I know I haven't been on here in a while. Uh, the holidays and work and had a lot of things to do. So I apologize for that. But now I'm back and getting ready to start my videos again. I'm going to talk a little bit more about my bipolar disorder. Uh, I've had it, I inherited it, believe it or not. I've had it since I was a kid. And as a kid, I wasn't too bad. Uh, I tend to uh, fly off the handle pretty easily. Usually, when I'm in a manic stage, that's usually what happens with me. Things irritate me, and I tend to fly off the handle and let people know what I really think of them. Of course, I sometimes do that even without being in a manic state. Uh, Sometimes my depression and mania uh, come separately from each other, and sometimes, uh, majority of the time, they come together. And as a kid, as I think back on my life as a kid growing up, I remember it really didn't take much to set me off as a kid. People make fun of my name, of course, and I'd go off on that because of that. Even a lot of fist fights. Uh, People say something bad about my family or people I care about, that irritated me a lot, and I'd go off and end up in fist fights. Of course, sometimes my family members would talk garbage to people and get them all ticked off and all that kind of stuff, and they'd want to fight, and I'd end up in fist fights. uh, yeah, but I was a good student at school. Uh, Back then, they went by uh, ones and twos instead of A's and B's like they do now, and I was a one and two student then. And uh, my life growing up was pretty rough in many ways, as far as with bipolar disorder, uh, all the way up till the eighth grade in school. In eighth grade in school, I got thrown out of school and was told I could never come back. So I had to go get a GED, and of course went in the military and all that kind of stuff, and uh, got degrees in a lot of different things, and finally got degrees in what really interests me, which is psychology. And believe it or not, those degrees in psychology even helped me figure me out. So that's really good because it helps me a lot. It makes it easy for if somebody has a problem and they want to talk to me about it, it makes it easy for me to understand where they're coming from. And a lot of times, if somebody talks to me about a problem they're having and stuff like that, I can tend to feel their pain because I've been there, done that. What happened in the eighth grade was I was sitting in class. My seat was at the back of the class, uh, along with a bunch of other kids, and uh, one of the kids back there made a paper airplane and flew it through the classroom. And the teacher turned around just as it was flying. He didn't see who threw it, but he went and picked it up, and he come and singled me out. And he started yelling at me and screaming at me and shaking that paper airplane at me and poking at me with it. And he ended up sticking it in my mouth, and it came to words, and he went up to get the paddle. Of course, that was back when they were allowed to paddle the students. He went up to get the paddle, and he thought he was going to use it on me. When he called me up to the front of the classroom, and he started to use that paddle on me. Me and him got into it. There was a struggle. I took it away from him, and ended up breaking a couple of his ribs. Excuse me. Well, that was enough to get me suspended from school. And when I tried to get back into school, they told my mother that they wouldn't allow me in any other school in the state of Kansas. And yes, that's where I grew up, Kansas City, Kansas. And so from there, I had to figure things out. So I left home when I was 15 and went into the Job Corps and was sent up to Utah. In the Job Corps, I was up there, and then that life was okay, but it really wasn't the type of life I wanted. But I did do some more education up there instead of doing, taking some kind of course for like auto mechanics or stuff like that. And auto mechanics is what I really wanted to do, but they didn't have it there, so I went ahead and just did education. Then when I got out of there, I went into the military. I had a lot of trouble in the military because being bipolar, and of course when you go in the military, their psych evaluation wasn't that good at that time, and so they didn't recognize that I had bipolar disorder. Anyway, growing up, I mean, some people considered me as a bully because, like I had 5 sisters, and one of my sisters, there was these guys always wanting to go with her and stuff like that, and she didn't like them, and if they kept bothering her, she'd come to me about it, and I'd go take care of it. And so yeah, you can see I've been dealing with bipolar disorder for many, many years. And over about the past 25 years or so, I've been working on myself really good to try to understand when my moods start to change and stuff like that. My depression doesn't get near as severe as it used to. Yes, I am one of the kind of people that attempted suicide a couple of times. I'm not afraid to say that. I'm not afraid to say that to anybody. I know what it's about, okay? Depression can really take a person down. Whether it's depression from bipolar disorder, PTSD, clinical depression, major depression, depression can take anybody down to that level if they let it go that far. That's why I always recommend, and that's why I always stress, to go talk to somebody, go get some help. You're not always going to have to take medications for it. Sometimes you're going to have to. Psychotherapy is really, really good. Just being able to talk to somebody. Things I've noticed with my depression, because my depression, when it comes on, it lasts a long time. And like I said in my last video, at that time, it's been about 7 or 8 months I've been kind of depressed, and it's not been very deep depression, and I'm still feeling the depression, but I also get the mania with it, and that's where, it's considered mixed, okay? And I get the mania with it, and so even though I'm depressed, I'm going, always going, and a lot of times at work, I'll get to going, and then all of a sudden the mania will subside down to a certain point to where it's more like hypomania, and I start falling off as far as what am I trying to say here? As far as trying to do things at the best of my ability and stuff like that. A lot of people with hypomania, they're still pretty active. They still perform pretty well. But with me, when I get into hypomania, because I've been going so much in the full-blown mania, I start slowing down. All right? and start feeling more of the depression. And I'm still in a depression. I went through the holidays in a depression, but nice thing is I've had people around me that kept me kind of perked up and a little and pretty cheery. You know, my wife has been that way, was that way. Uh, our daughter that came over for Christmas and for Thanksgiving, uh, and my grandkids that came over uh, with her, kept me in pretty good spirits. I was feeling pretty good about the holidays. For the most part, I was able to uh, get happy and kind of maintain that through the holidays and through New Year's. Of course, New Year's, uh, before midnight, I fell asleep. Woke up after midnight and gave my wife a kiss. And of course, she let me know that I missed New Year's, which was okay. You know, it was okay for her to say that. I didn't mind because I did. I fell asleep. Uh, but that comes from the depression. My sleeping habits are really, really strange with bipolar disorder because sometimes I don't sleep much at all. Sometimes I sleep quite a bit. Uh, my eating habits with bipolar disorder is really messed up. As a lot of times I only eat one meal a day because I just don't feel hungry, and that's not healthy for you. So if any of you are seeing any of these type of things in yourself, then it's time you start thinking about looking into things, getting some things checked out. Uh, my sleeping, sometimes when I go to sleep and I sleep all night, I wake up so tired, and that's usually because I'm having nightmares. And during the day, beings I can kind of somewhat work on my disorder, uh, sometimes kind of change uh, some of the things I'm doing to change mood or something like that. At night when I go to sleep, I can't do that. And so usually I end up in nightmares. And a lot of times it's the same nightmare. It's a nightmare believe it or not, some type of monster about, I don't know, probably about 50, 60 foot tall. And the nightmare is always the same place. It's in Kansas City, Kansas, and there's a bridge down there called 10th Street Bridge. I didn't live too far from that, a couple of miles. And what happens is this monster starts chasing me. And somehow, when you think about something that tall and the stride it takes compared to the stride I would take, uh, you would think there's no way possible for me to outrun this creature. But I do. I do. And I get up there on that 10th Street Bridge, and it goes across the railroad tracks. There's a bunch of railroad tracks down there. That's one of the main depots, rail depots down there. And so I usually end up on that bridge, in the middle of that bridge, and I think that if I drop over the side of it, I can get away from this monster. And of course, chances of surviving dropping over something like that, dropping off the side of a bridge that high up, you're most likely not going to survive it anyway. But anyway, what happens is I hang over the side of that bridge, kind of work my way down toward the lower part of it, and hang there, and then I drop. And I always land on a railroad track. One of the railroad tracks that's down there is probably about, I don't know, probably about 20 of them down there. And I roll over and go to stand up, and there's a train coming at me, and no way I'm going to get out of the way of it in time, and then I wake up. Excuse me again. So that's a lot of times how my sleeping goes. And sometimes the dreams are a little bit different than that. I had one dream where somebody had broke into our house, and uh, I'm going to take them on, and I tell my wife, get out of here, leave, and she won't do it. She says, I'm not going anywhere in this dream. And these guys are getting ready to start shooting us. And I tell her, get the heck out. And she don't do it. She keeps refusing to do it. So then I get mad at her in the dream because she's disobeying me when I'm trying to save her flipping life. You know, 9 chances out of 10, I'm going to get shot up and probably die. Uh, but I don't want that to happen to her in that dream. So I'm yelling and screaming at her, get the heck out of here. And she won't go. Well, about the time they start shooting, I wake up. A lot of times in a bad sweat. I mean, wake up just wringing wet with sweat. So that's part of how things go with me and my disorder. The dreams I can't do anything about. Okay, I work on myself a lot to try to counteract some of my mood swings. Sometimes they come pretty quickly and last a good long time, and sometimes they gradually come up. When they quickly come up, it's a little harder for me to detect them right off, and so once they trigger out, I have to figure out, I have to think of something, try to think of something quickly to start counteracting those feelings. Because like I say, I'm not on medication. I don't see a therapist anymore. I'm in my 60s now, so I don't too much worry about it. I try to avoid fighting. I haven't been in a physical fight in a lot of years, and that helps. That shows me that I'm doing some of the things right to try to counteract some of these mood swings. As far as in the mania side, spending a lot of money, I don't have a lot of money to spend, so I don't spend a lot of money. I've been getting really good at not spending money that I don't have, okay? Or spending so much money that I'm going to be completely out. I pay my bills and let it go at that. Excuse me again. Bipolar disorder is, as I've said before, is a lifelong illness, mental illness. It's never going to go away, but there are things that you can do for it. So, my best advice on it is to go ahead and seek a medical professional. Be honest and open with them about what you're going through and things like that, and let them help guide you to different things for control, okay? Whether it's medication or medication and psychotherapy, or sometimes just psychotherapy. It depends on the disorder and the severity of the disorder. Having a disorder is no fun, and a lot of people that have the disorder don't even know they have it. On the mania side, I get more irritable than anything else. Things that people do irritate me so much, and it's when that's happening, it is so hard for me to. It is so hard for me to control myself. If they keep doing the thing, okay. They agitate me first with some of the, as I call it, stupidity, okay, non-common sense type things, okay, and that irritates me. That makes me grouchy, and I try to avoid that. I try to smile as much as I can, even if I'm even when I'm in one of my episodes, I try to keep smiling. Okay, like they say, it takes more muscles to frown than it does to smile. Uh, so I try to keep smiling, try to keep upbeat, and it's that's a little hard to do. Okay, especially when people keep constantly doing the things that irritate me. Uh, doing things that shows a severe lack of common sense. Common sense tells you not to do something, and you go ahead and do it anyway. That type of thing irritates me. Common sense tells you uh, to do something and you don't do it. That irritates me. Then I get real touchy. You know, if somebody if somebody is messing with me, I I will sometimes just flat tell them, get the heck away from me, stay away from me, okay? Don't get in my face. When I'm depressed, things that things that can hinder me as far as trying to pull out of that is, if somebody's saying, does this feel sorry for Bernie Day, or what are you doing feeling sorry for yourself, you know, things like that. Things like that, it just makes no sense to say to somebody who's depressed, because that can send you deeper into depression. And depending on the level of depression that you're in at the time that happens, uh, that can uh, that can put you at the bottom, and uh, and make you suicidal. So anyway, that's a little bit more about me, uh, and how things have gone through me for me over the years with bipolar depression, struggling with bipolar depression. Uh, I don't want to see this type of thing happen to other people out there that have bipolar depression. Uh, I don't like the thought of people trying to kill themselves, uh, harm themselves, or anybody else in any way, and that's why I decided to do these videos to bring the awareness out, because I know a lot of people doesn't watch commercials on TV about bipolar disorder, stuff like that, uh, which they should. Uh, a lot of family members of a person who may have bipolar disorder, that does have bipolar disorder, they need to understand what the person with the disorder is going through, so that they know some of the things that they can possibly do to help them out. Uh, so anyway, we'll, we're going to go, this video's getting up here. So we're going to go a little bit more into bipolar disorder. I'm going to go into bipolar disorder 2 and some of the others, uh, and explain a lot of things to you about that. But all the bipolar disorders have pretty much the same functions as far as uh, depression and mania. Uh, the lesser disorders, like I said, I have bipolar 1 disorder. So bipolar 2 disorder, uh, psychoclimatic, and the others, the other less severe disorders, they, if left untreated, you don't get treatment for it, and stuff like that, that can develop into full-blown bipolar 1 disorder. Uh, the hypomania can turn into major mania, okay, severe mania. The depression in it can get severely worse, okay. So right now I'll go ahead and close this video out. I just wanted to let you, like I said, I just wanted to let you know a little bit more about me and my bipolar disorder. Uh, so we'll talk a little bit more about that, and then I'll go back. I do realize that I forgot to do not the anxiety, but the oh, I can't think of what it is right offhand. But anyway, I've been thinking about so many things at once, and that's another thing. Boy, your brain gets to really flying when you have bipolar disorder and you're in the mania area. Your brain just goes so fast that you can't really think, and so I'll remember what it is. I'll look back through my notes and stuff that I make all the time and get it. But anyhow, thanks again for coming back to my channel, and I will see you in the next video. You guys have a great day. It's 20 degrees out here right now where I live. It started out when I took the dogs out this morning, early this morning, about 8 o'clock this morning. It was like 10 degrees outside. So, but anyway, you guys have a great day, and I will see you soon. And for now, bye-bye.